Welcome everyone to another episode of We Shoot from the Hip. Today I'm thrilled to be joined by a truly extraordinary guest, Marni Kinrys, a renowned coach and the creator of the Wing Girl Method. For over a decade, Marni has been helping men to decode the mysteries of attraction, to decode the tiny hints of women. She has been featured in major platforms like CNN, Men's Health, the Huffington Post. She has a YouTube channel with 5.2 million subscribers and so on. So she's really, really well known. With this, she has been transforming the lives of thousands of men across the globe. But what really makes Marni a fascinating expert in this field is her intuitive approach in how men should learn how to decode the tiny hints of women in their trials of connection. So she does not only focus on the outer actionable strategies on how to dive into a relationship, but also she focuses on the deeper levels of human insight, on the intuitive level. So today we are going to explore something that is close to both of our hearts, this intuitive approach. So let's welcome Marni to the show. Hi Marni, thanks for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Would you just say a few words of how this idea of the Wing Girl Method appeared?
Well, so now it's been 2 decades, actually. So you said a decade, but it's actually been 2 decades of doing this. I don't even remember how it started, to be honest. But I've been a wing girl for men, for boys, whatever you want to label it as, since I was 14 years old. I was always helping my guy friends understand women and get women and date women and help them with advice on women. And when I moved out to Los Angeles, I went to a singles mixer and nobody was talking to each other. So I just started grabbing men and I would start a conversation with women and then I would help them connect. I would whisper things in his ear so that he had things to say and gave him advice on the spot. And then when he was doing good, I would leave him be. And by the end of the night, I had done this for several of the men that were there and they were connecting and laughing and 2 people were kissing. So it was an amazing night. And when I went home, I said to my roommate, I want to be a wing girl. And he's like, I don't even know what that is, but guys don't want that. Guys would never accept help from another woman for getting women. I was like, I don't think you're right. And I posted an ad on Craigslist. So this is very old. And by the next morning, I had over 75 people respond who were interested in figuring out what this wing girl was. So I started by doing a live service where myself and another girl would go out with a guy. We'd pick out women for men, and then we'd, let them be. And then we quickly transferred over to doing at-home services and creating systems and doing coaching because we realized so many men needed to really build up their skill sets before actually going out with us and interacting with women. So that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years.
So men wanted to have, let's say, a lady friend to tell them the perspective of women, right?
Yeah.
And what do you think in this whole approach, in this whole process of introducing men to women and so on, intuition have?
What was the last part? Sorry?
What role do you think intuition has in this whole process of introducing men to women?
That I should have? What role do I think I should have? To be honest, I started to think like kind of what my roommate had said in the very beginning. Men shouldn't need another woman to help them. It's great to have arm candy, obviously, to pull women in, but these men were needing me to do the entire process. And so I realized that I had to teach them how to be in an amazing space so that they can fully utilize me or other wing girls when they're out in public. So I tapped into things like psychology, the pickup artist industry, any other person who was also in this space I have interviewed over the past 20 years to just fully understand what is needed from men for men to attract women. And I've interviewed about 10,000 women by now to get insight from them too. And so that's my role now. I offer them the steps, the guidance, the tools, the advice, the techniques, the tactics that they need to hone and own in order to attract women on their own and be super successful with women.
In this process, actually, what you do is that you provide them those insights, those techniques, those let's say clues, which help them to recognize the tiny clues, which are tiny signals which are provided by women to them, and whether they pick it or not, it's up to them. But what about improve their, let's say, intuition in this profession? Let's say like that. So,
well. Definitely. That's what we do. Like, first of all, everything improves once you become aware of it, right? Once you start noticing something. But so many of these guys, for the past 20 years that I've worked with, I'd say 90% of the men come to me, and there's no way that they could ever focus on the signals that women are giving because they're too focused on what's going on inside of their head, right? They're afraid of rejection. They're worried about what they're going to say. They'd like to get attraction from her, and they're 3 steps ahead of the conversation. So they're not even present in the conversation to be able to take in any signals that she's giving. So once we can calm that brain down, give confidence, give tools, give skill sets, then you can be open to seeing what signals are coming your way. And that's what we also tell them as well, is like what she's really saying when she's saying something else, what a certain signal means and what it doesn't mean, because there are so many things that women do that are so subtle that men misconstrue as meaning something else.
So basically what you say is that intuition appears when awareness shines up.
Yeah, so you say it so much better than I do. Yeah.
And awareness unfolds when they are relaxed.
Yeah, relax. And then when they at least have the insight from us to know what it is to look for.
It's basically a mindset, what you're talking about. So it's not only a relaxed state of, let's say, parasympathetic nervous reaction, but it's a mind state, what you're talking about. It's not only about getting relaxed in a certain situation, but about to have this happy mindset, let's say.
So, definitely.
And how do you see this happy mindset influence the relationship or the connection?
Oh my God, it's like night and day. Even for my husband and I, right? We did work together on ourselves. We took this course called Safe Conversations. It was about 8 weeks long, and we did a session every single week for about an hour. And it was to give us insight, number one, into how the other person was feeling about things whenever we would get into an argument, but also give us an actual template on how to have a safe conversation so that we could get a result in the end. And it was uncomfortable at first. It was awkward. It made both of us very frustrated. But as we continued to practice it and learn it, and that became our new norm, you start to notice different things, and you start to see your partner a different way. So anything that you're noticing first, once you can notice it, because you can get out of this crazy mind space and you can calm your brain down, you notice it, then you can start to work on it. So you're absolutely right. It is a mindset, but you have to know what you're missing first to notice it. Oh, I noticed that I'm overthinking things. I noticed that I'm putting a lot of pressure onto myself. I noticed that I'm not really engaged in the conversation because I'm thinking about the next thing that I'm going to say to this woman. Okay. So once you notice that you're doing that, then you're like, okay, now I can shift this and change this. And then that's where the tools and tactics and skills that we teach come into play.
This sounds really parallel to what we are talking about in the field I'm really have digging into, the field of HR, because we are talking about professional insight, professional intuition, executive presence, which means that you have to know your profession. You have to know what you are talking about. You have to know the exact, let's say, the clues. You have to have the brain, first of all. You have to have the direction. And then with the practice comes the intuitive part, like what we mean, the intuitive insight, right? So
well, it's not even intuitive at that point. It's more automated. It becomes more automatic. Like what you have to put full focus onto a skill. then it becomes automated, and then it can become intuitive, because then you can get to finesse it, right? Because then your brain is free to notice other things that are happening. So that's how I see it. It's like it's multiple steps, because when you're not present, when you're not having a good mindset around something and everything is just lofty and floaty, it can all be a mess. But once you can start to notice and really put focus onto something and then make an effort to adjust it the way that you want, then it can become more automatic for you, and then it can become more intuitive.
Fantastic. So it's all about practice, right? So, but you have to know the direction of practice.
Absolutely.
And so, basically, do you see any difference in the approach of men and women about how they approach this balance of brain and, let's say, heart, or the thinking and the feeling? Is there a difference between genders, or it depends on individuals?
Well, that is not my specialty at all, because I only work with men. But I will say it has been really fascinating to work with men and get the insight about how difficult it is to feel and to understand their emotions. Like, women can tell you at every point of the day what they're feeling, and they'll tell you 10 things that they're feeling. But for men, it's really hard for them to not go to logic first, right? And actually understand how to be more expressive, not even how to emote, because they're emoting all the time, but to understand what they're emoting, and then advising them on how to use emotion in conversation. So I've noticed that difference in genders for sure, but it can all be trained. It's like, once you're sort of aware that another side exists, as I said before, you start to notice it, you start to see it, and you start to dive into it. So these men can speak with emotion, and they can emote often, and they can describe what they're feeling. Just many of them are not experienced in that space, so it takes time to learn how to do it.
This reminds me of something which consists of 3 steps. First is the IQ, like the logical intelligence,
EQ,
emotional intelligence, what we are talking about, right? Because you teach people how to express or recognize their emotions. And also, the third part is that it's called awareness intelligence, because they have to recognize this whole thing, right? So this mixture of all these 3 is included in your work. So what would you say to them to encourage them, just with a few words, to unfold their emotional intelligence and their awareness intelligence? Would you give them a brief motivation speech in 2-3 sentences?
Yes. Yeah. I will just say vulnerability is sexy, and knowing what you're feeling and having the ability to express it in a confident manner is one of the most attractive things any man can do.
Fantastic. Thanks very much. Thanks very much, Marni. Thanks for being with us. Do you feel
thanks for having me.
We could elaborate on more, or that was fine for you for now?
No, that was great. Yes, definitely.
Thanks very much for your time, Dan. And hope to talk to you some other time as well.
Me too. Thank you for having me.
Are you looking to enhance your professional intuition and foster a happier, more balanced mindset at work? At Happiness Consulting, we specialize in leadership training and workplace well-being, because content-happy and aware people do better. We help leaders develop awareness and a positive mindset, enabling them to thrive in their roles and cultivate high-performing teams. For a deeper, immersive experience, we offer corporate retreats, our exclusive space retreats. Here, participants engage in the 4 mental practices, designed to guide the mind out of the matrix of everyday habits, promoting clarity and innovative thinking. If you're seeking personal transformation and wish to meet Seal Josephson in person, join a space retreat to dive into the 4-dimensional nature of the mind. For ongoing insights, visit and subscribe to Seal's YouTube channel, where you'll find valuable content on professional intuition, awareness intelligence, and cultivating a happy mindset. Start your journey today.